When your youngest child finally leaves home, it hits different. For Kelly, Ripa, and Mark Consuelos, that moment has arrived. Their beloved son, Joaquin, is stepping into a brand new chapter, and what he's decided to do next has fans in tears. From proud parents to bittersweet goodbyes, this is the emotional story behind the Consuelos family's biggest change yet. Have you ever stood at a crossroads in your life? A moment where the map you've been following suddenly ends, and the path ahead is unwritten. It's a feeling that can arrive at any age, in the bloom of youth, or in what we so wisely call our golden years. It's a moment of both terror and tremendous possibility. Today we're going to talk about one such moment. A story that began splashed across the tabloids with headlines of shock and worry, but has unfolded into something far more profound. This is the story of Joaquin Consuelos, the son of Kelly, Ripa, and Mark Consuelos. But more importantly, it's a story about the quiet courage to rewrite your own destiny, a lesson that resonates deeply no matter how many candles were on your last birthday cake. For decades, we felt like we've known Kelly, Ripa, and Mark Consuelos. We've welcomed them into our living rooms, chuckled at their banter, and watched their beautiful family grow up in the public eye. Their children, Michael, Lola, and Joaquin, seem to have it all. The glamour, the opportunity, the golden ticket. And for Joaquin, the youngest, that ticket appeared to be a promising athletic career. He was a wrestler at the University of Michigan, a Division I athlete. Can you imagine the discipline? The 5 a.m. practices, the grueling training, the singular focus. It's a path defined by clear goals: win, push, achieve. For a long time, that was Joaquin's world. It was an identity, etched in sweat and determination. But then, something shifted. The headlines started to appear. Joaquin Consuelos leaves Michigan, an emotional exit for Ripa and Consuelos' son. The tone was often one of scandalized surprise. The public narrative was simple: a promising path, abruptly abandoned. But here's the first surprising twist, the one the headlines missed entirely. This wasn't a failure. This wasn't a quitting. This was a profound and courageous act of listening. Joaquin later shared that he had been struggling, not with the sport itself, but with the fit. The person he was becoming in that high-pressure environment wasn't the person he knew he was meant to be. He spoke of anxiety, of a feeling of being misplaced, and in a decision that took more guts than any wrestling match ever could, he chose to listen to that small inner voice, the one we so often ignore in favor of the expectations of others. He wasn't running from something, he was walking, with immense bravery, toward himself. And that first step off the well-lit path led him into a period of uncertainty that would make any parent, any person who has lived a little, hold their breath. Where does a young man go when the dream he thought was his no longer fits? The answer to that question is where our story truly begins, and it's a journey that would lead him to a discovery so powerful, so fundamentally human, it's going to leave you breathless with inspiration. After leaving Michigan, Joaquin didn't immediately jump into a new career. He did something that many of us, tethered to responsibilities and routines, often only dream of. He gave himself the gift of space. He traveled, he stepped away from the noise of public expectation and into the quiet cathedral of the natural world. Imagine trading the roar of a stadium for the crash of ocean waves, replacing the smell of gymnasium bleach with the scent of pine and salt air. This wasn't a vacation, it was a pilgrimage. It was a deliberate, conscious journey to strip away the labels, son of, athlete, and ask the most fundamental question we can ever ask ourselves. Who am I when no one is watching? And in that silence, a new voice began to speak. It wasn't the voice of a coach, or a parent, or a fan. It was the voice of a calling. He began to speak openly about his own mental health journey. He talked about his struggles with anxiety not as a shameful secret, but as a part of his human experience. And in doing so, he discovered a deep, resonant empathy for the struggles of others. He realized that his strength wasn't just physical, it was emotional. His battleground was no longer the mat, but the internal landscape of the human heart. This is the stunning pivot that shocked his fans in the most beautiful way. The Division I athlete was channeling his discipline, his focus, and his incredible capacity for hard work into a new, deeply purposeful direction. He started working with organizations dedicated to mental health awareness, particularly for young people. He used his platform not for glamour, but for grace. He became a champion for the vulnerable, an advocate for those suffering in silence. The boy who was trained to pin opponents to the ground was now lifting people up. But this new path, this calling of the heart, was about to lead him to a connection so profound it would redefine the very meaning of family legacy. Now, here's where the story takes a turn that will send a shiver of recognition down your spine. We look at a young man like Joaquin, and we see the product of Hollywood and celebrity. But what if his most significant inheritance wasn't fame or fortune, but something far more valuable, something he learned not from a script, but from silent observation? Think back to all those years of watching Kelly Ripa on television. What is one of her most enduring, most beloved qualities? It's her effortless, genuine warmth and respect for everyone she interacts with, but particularly for the older generation. Remember her interviews with legendary actors, with icons from a bygone era. She didn't just interview them, she honored them. She listened with a rapt attention that made them feel seen, valued, and relevant. Now picture a young Joaquin sitting in the studio audience, watching his mother. He wasn't just seeing a TV host. He was witnessing a masterclass in empathy. He was learning in the most powerful way possible that true connection transcends age, status, and fame. He was learning that every person has a story, and that listening to that story is an act of profound love. This is the stunning hidden legacy. The compassion he now exhibits for those struggling with their mental health, it's the same foundational empathy he saw modeled by his mother her entire career. He didn't inherit her cheekbones, he inherited her heart. And he is using that inheritance to build something beautiful in the world. He took the family business of connection and repurposed it for a new, urgent mission. But just when we think we understand the full picture of this remarkable young man's journey, life had one more breathtaking surprise in store, a surprise that would bring his story full circle in the most poetic way imaginable. After his time away and his deep dive into advocacy, Joaquin made another decision. He chose to return to academia, transferring to New York University. But he wasn't going back to the same person he was. He was entering with a new clarity, a new purpose. The young man who once defined himself by physical strength was now pursuing the power of the mind, focusing on the complex human fields of psychology and social work. He was arming himself with the tools to turn his empathy into action, his compassion into a career. And in doing so, he achieved something we all strive for. He earned the one thing a parent wants most for their child. Not success, not fame, but the quiet, unshakable confidence that their child has found their purpose. And the reaction from Kelly and Mark? It wasn't one of disappointment over a derailed athletic scholarship. It was one of overwhelming, bursting at the seams pride. Kelly has spoken publicly, her voice thick with emotion, about her admiration for her son's courage. She didn't see a quitter, she saw a young man brave enough to course-correct his own life. Mark, the picture of quiet strength, has expressed the father's profound respect for his son's integrity. In choosing to be true to himself, Joaquin gave his parents the greatest gift a child can give. The peace of mind that comes from knowing their son is not just okay, but that he is whole, he is fulfilled, and he is using his unique gifts to make the world a little kinder. So the next time you see a headline about a celebrity child, remember this story. Remember Joaquin Consuelos. His shocking life update wasn't a scandal. It was a masterclass in listening to your soul. It was a reminder that the most rewarding journeys aren't always a straight line, but a series of courageous turns leading you back to yourself. And for those of us watching from the vantage point of our 60s and beyond, it's a powerful inspiration. It's never, ever too late to listen to that inner voice. It's never too late to choose a path that fills your soul. Your most meaningful chapter could be the one you start writing today. Thank you for watching. Now we'd love to hear from you. Have you ever made a major life change later in life? What was the catalyst? Share your stories of courage in the comments below. Your journey could be the inspiration someone else needs to hear.